So, I did want to come on here and tell you really a deep dive into my 4 a.m. club experience. So, I know in my intro video, I did tell you that I am part of the 4 a.m. club. I did have not really a flashbang of a spiritual awakening, but it was just kind of a wake up moment of just, hey, Rachel, you really need to pay attention to this thing. Um, so, let's just flash back November 2024. I'm on my way to Orlando for a business conference, and I decided to go a day early just because I'm driving and I wanted to be refreshed for the conference. So I drove in and did not stay up the night before, I guess, the night of the big competition that was back in November 2024. I decided to just go to bed early. I said I'll wake up and I'm sure everything will be fine. Everything's going to be fine, right, guys? Right? Well, I woke up and before I even looked at my phone or turned on the TV, I heard this word in my mind, switched. Switched. I look at the clock and it's 3:30 in the morning. Um, and then I turn on the TV and it was like the world flipped upside down. What the heck just happened? And the person that won the competition, who normally is just they like to gloat, their response was, whoa, that was crazy, wasn't it? Okay, your response had some red flags. There were a lot of red flags that were coming up along the way, but it just seemed like we just started living in the twilight zone all of a sudden. I can remember actually a conversation, actually, it was a text conversation with one of my colleagues at this business conference and telling her that what happened wasn't right. Didn't you feel the energy? She is someone who channels energy, and I don't doubt her one bit. But her response was that I just don't think that people really resonated with Kay's messaging. I said, what? I'm still feeling like I'm in the twilight zone, right? But I realize that there's a lot of information in the world. We're not meant to know everything. There's a lot of information that's not even accurate. So people can really choose to believe whatever they want to believe. And I think that in this day and age more than ever, we just need to be very discerning of what's real and what's not. At the end of the day, when two people believe two different things, one of them is not seeing the truth. If either of them are even seeing the truth. I was determined not to let that moment of this doesn't feel right to affect the rest of my business trip. I was determined, like, I'm going to have fun. We're going to Disney on Friday after the day of speakers, and I'm going to have fun with my people. And I did. Thankfully, I just really put it in the back of my mind. You just got to put things on the back burner. You can't do something about everything in the world, right? So then a few days later, I'm driving home and I'm picking out some video on YouTube to kind of play in the background while I'm driving, and I came across something that was a channeled message, and it was having to do with, hey, what happened wasn't real. Let me put that another way. The person that we were all told won was not the person that actually won that competition. And I apologize for speaking in code. I don't want this video to get flagged in any way, but if you know, you know. Over the course of time, I came into some other YouTube creators, which I started really watching more often. One of the people that I came across is Dr. Jennifer Lisa Vest, or Ethical Psychic. I don't watch her on TikTok. I know she's really big over there as well, but I found her on YouTube, and she would just have these like stories of the big joust. So that's what I referred to, the competition. But she would just tell these stories of, I believe she is getting them from dreams and from the Akashic records. And she even was speaking on these different drone sightings that were happening in November and even up into January. And it was really odd how that just kind of went away. There's a lot of things that are just people are talking about and then not talking about. And it's really interesting. It's just different things to file away and put all the pieces together when we can. Another creator that I came across sometime in the end of 2024 was Gia Prism, and she started talking about this 4 a.m. club. Really, just people, a lot of women that were waking up the morning after this competition and knowing that something wasn't right. Maybe you got some kind of a download, maybe you got a clairaudient. Um, like me, I heard that word switched, which I don't usually hear clairaudient. That's not my typical way of communicating with my guides. I normally just feel things or I just have a sense of knowing. But it has continued from that day, just this sense of knowing that things are not right. But I think that we do have to let things play out. I feel like we've been in this repeating pattern, these repeating cycles, and until something changes, nothing changes. Maybe that's a simplistic way of putting it. But until our actions change, the outcome isn't going to change. So we need to act differently. In this case, I do believe we need to feel empowered. We do have power. It's just that there are larger systems out there that want to make us feel disempowered. They want to make us feel like we need to be looking for something external all the time. Maybe you feel like you need to wait in order to be happy. And we need to find joy now, even though there's a lot of suffering in the world, especially now more than ever. But we can be joyful warriors, right? We can still carry through a positive message. I have family that's being affected by the war in the Middle East right now, and we were able to FaceTime them about a week ago. Their first concern is, how are you doing? How are you doing? So but how am I doing? I'm a crier. I'm just going to put that out there right away. I've got a lot of water in my astrological chart, and so I feel like sometimes it just needs to come out. But I do feel for them. But I can't let my feelings get in the way of progressing and moving forward and sharing my message of things that I'm going through in my spiritual awakening, things that are helping me, regulating my own emotions. It's super powerful. Just continuing to do yoga and just breathing through life. You just have to breathe. Remember to laugh, you know? We take things so seriously, don't we? So even though I do resonate with the 4 a.m. club, I feel like there's a mass spiritual awakening, not just people that maybe woke up the night after the competition, but just at this time in general. I've noticed a lot more spiritual YouTube channels popping up, things that interest me. Another person that started their channel around that time was Ask the Spirit Guides. Karen and her team over there have really built this solid community. I think I've always had this love of knowledge, and just to be human is to learn and to create. And even though there's a lot of dark things happening all around us, we can still find some joy in community and learning and creating. I may do a whole separate video on some just different YouTube channels that I think popped up around that time and that are really interesting to me. But anyway, let me know some of your thoughts down in the comments. I'd love to know, where are you on your spiritual awakening? Are you part of the 4 a.m. club?